Hey everyone, Mark Ferguson with Invest for More, and welcome to another real estate investing video. I'm going to talk today about flipping versus rentals. So I get a lot of questions about, I want to invest in real estate. Should I buy a rental first or should I buy a flip first? So I'm going to try and talk about that a little bit today, go over the pros and cons of both, and maybe help out a few people in that predicament. It is not an easy question to answer, that's for sure. There's so many different things to consider. So before we do that, make sure you check out investformore.com. My books on Amazon, our podcast we used to do, all kinds of great stuff. If you like this channel, love it if you subscribe, give us a thumbs up. We appreciate that. So something to consider when you're thinking about rental versus flip is how much money you'll need for each one. So when you're buying a rental property, you're usually going to put at least 20% down. So we'll just use $100,000 properties for the fun of it. I know many of you are in markets where it's hard to do that. It's hard for me to do that now. But when I was buying really good rentals, it was right around that $100,000 price range. And when you're putting 20% down, you'll need about $20,000 for the down payment, obviously, but you'll have a few thousand more for closing costs. You might have to make some repairs. So maybe you're all into the house for $30,000, we'll say. Now, when you're flipping, it's much harder to figure what you're going to have into the property based on the financing you're going to use. There's so many different ways to finance a flip, and I actually went over those in a video I did last week. I described how I use private money, how I use bank money, and how I use hard money to finance my flips. So I've got 20 flips going on at one time right now. I have a lot of different ways to finance those, including some of my own money too. But that will depend on your experience, the property, all kinds of things, the people you know, how you're financing these flips. If you're using a bank, you're going to put 25% down in most cases. You're going to have to finance repairs yourself, carrying costs. You could need $50,000 in cash to do a flip that you're buying for $100,000. On the other hand, if you're using private money, you might be able to put zero money down, but maybe you have to pay for the repairs, or maybe the repairs will be financed. You could be putting $10,000 into the deal or $30,000 into the deal. And the same can go for hard money as well. They'll usually want at least 10% down, but they may finance most or all of the repairs, which means you'll have $15,000 to $20,000 into the deal, because you will have carrying costs, insurance, taxes, things like that you'll have to pay too. It's not just the repairs and buying the property. So if you look at the big picture, you're spending $30,000 on a rental, or you're spending from $10,000 to $50,000 on the flip. Again, it's really going to depend on your individual, situation, how much money you're putting into the flip. So on that, it's really hard to answer the question, which is better. But if you're looking at them both strictly from an investment purpose, I think rentals are the best investment. Rentals will bring you cash flow every month if you're buying the right properties. They have amazing tax advantages. They have fantastic appreciation potential. If you get a good deal on them, you're walking into equity right away. And if you happen to refinance the property, that's tax-free. So I love rentals. So why don't I just buy rentals and not flip at all? Well, I also want to make a lot of money that I can invest into rentals. And that's what flipping does. So flipping allows me to make a really great income, which I can then invest into rentals, which make a great investment. And that's kind of where we get this predicament of which is better, rentals or flips. What came first, the chicken or the egg? And it's a tough one to answer. And I think you really have to look at your market as well. So are rentals a good investment in your market? 7 years ago, 5 years ago, rentals were amazing here. You could buy properties for $100,000, rent them out for $1,100, $1,200 a month after making some repairs, and they had appreciation potential. Obviously, houses have tripled in value now. Now you can't get those really good deals. Rents don't make sense because they don't cash flow compared to the purchase prices, and I stopped buying residential rentals in Colorado. I even thought about buying properties in Florida. I didn't end up doing it because I found commercial properties here that made more sense, so I started buying commercial rentals here. Bought 4 last year, bought the really big one this year, the 68,000 square foot kind of strip mall thing where we started our brokerage. If you guys have been following me at all, you know that story. But I was able to find rentals here that made sense. So if you're in a market where rentals make sense, then you've really got this conundrum. Which do I do? Do I buy a rental? do I buy a flip first? But if you're in a market that doesn't have good rentals, if prices are too high or property taxes are too high, who knows what it is, that might make it easier for you. Maybe you start doing flips now while you figure out, hey, do I want to invest here locally? Do I want to find other states to invest in? Because it's really hard just to jump into commercial right off the bat if you've never done other investing before. Not just the fact it's very complicated and hard to figure out, but because banks probably don't want to lend to you unless you have experience when you're trying to do commercial deals. So if rentals are still, a good investment where you're at, and you're still trying to decide, flip versus rental, how long does it take to get your money back of each investment? Well, when I'm flipping houses, it usually takes us 6 months from the time we buy the property, schedule a contractor, get the work done, get the house cleaned, make sure it's really ready to list, market the home, wait for a contract, have the contract, go all the way through and sell the house. It is not a fast, 1 month process where we're flipping houses. So that's something to consider if you're going to flip. It could take you 6 months or longer to get your cash back out if you're doing, bigger remodels, things that are more extensive. With a rental property, a lot of people might think, well, I just have my money in there. I put my $30,000, $35,000 into it. I'm never going to get that back. I just get my cash flow. But you can use the BRRRR method to get your money back. The buy, repair, rent, refinance. If you want to add an extra R, possibly repeat over and over again, where you can buy a property, fix it up, rent it out, and then refinance it with your bank, where you can refinance it 75% loan to value. So if you're buying that $100,000 rental, you put some money into it, and all of a sudden it's worth $130,000 now, then you can get a loan for $97,500 on it. So you can get most of the money you put into that rental, or almost all of it, back out, reinvest it again into another property. Great way to get started buying rentals. And hopefully, it's worth even more. It's worth like $150,000 or $160,000 after you've made repairs. And you can take even more money out. This is a really good way to get started with rentals, but it can take time as well. And the problem is most banks want to see a seasoning period, which means you can't refinance it for more than you bought it for, sooner than 6 months, possibly sooner than a year. So you might have to wait 6 months or a year to complete this refinance. So there's so many different things to consider with flipping versus rentals. With a flip, it might take 6 months. With a rental, it could take 6 months, maybe even a year. And if you're really trying to decide what is best, it's a hard decision to make. And in the end, I think you really have to write down the numbers, figure out your situation, what your goals are, figure out if rentals are a good option in your area. And if they are a good option, look at, hey, okay, what kind of financing can I get on the flip? I can put a lot less money down. Maybe I could flip a house now, and when I find a good rental property, I could actually do both at the same time. It's a possibility. If you don't have really good financing on the flip, you just can't find anything, you're putting a ton of money into it, maybe it's better to buy the rental, repair it, get it seasoned, then refinance it, take your money out, repeat the process. Or maybe by that point, maybe you found better financing for a flip, and you can work on, getting a flip going at the same time while you have a rental. That's the one thing that's really nice for me is I've got, flips going on one side and then rentals going on the other side, where I can take money from the flips, buy rentals, and it's been a very nice kind of snowballing effect over the years of just building both businesses up. But it's not easy to do that when you're first beginning, and it really takes a lot of thought and thinking into how you want to structure your business from the start. And something else to consider as well is the tax situation. If you're refinancing a rental property, you're not going to pay taxes on that money you take out. If you take out 30 grand or 40 grand in a refinance, you don't pay taxes on it. However, if you're flipping a house and you sell it, you are paying taxes on that profit. So if you made $30,000 or $40,000 on a flip, you're paying income taxes on that money. So, there goes 20, 30%, whatever your rate may be, that's going straight to taxes. So in that sense, it's also better to buy a rental and refinance it than to flip a house. But I think ultimately, what I think most people's goal should be, if they're really considering flip versus rental, is to try and find some way to do both at the same time. The way to really do that and make that work, if you don't have, hundreds of thousands of dollars laying around, which most of us don't, is to find really good private money, private financing for the flip, where they can finance the purchase price, maybe some of the repairs even. And that way you can flip the house, make money while you're also looking for rentals. Maybe you want to buy one rental first, refinance it, make sure that process works, and have cash flow coming in before you jump into doing a flip. There's just so many ways to do it. And I don't think you can really, fault yourself for doing one over the other. If you're investing in real estate, if you are doing a flip, or if you bought a rental property, that's awesome. You should be proud of yourself. And actually doing one of them, or doing both of them, and experiencing both of the processes and how they work and seeing how the numbers work out might be the best way to figure out what the best route is to move forward with from that point. It's not always easy to know exactly what's going to work best, exactly the best thing to do. Sometimes we just have to do it, just jump into it. If you found a good rental right now, buy it, go for it, make that work. If you found a good flip right now, buy it, go for it, see if you can make that work, see how it goes. And if it doesn't work out like you thought, change strategy, think how you can do things different. Maybe you buy a rental. Likewise with the rental, you can switch that up if that doesn't work exactly how you planned it. So a lot of things to think about. There's no easy answers for the flip versus rental question. I use the flips for income. I think of the rentals as more of the investment. But your market, your goals, the money you have, the job you have as far as qualifying for financing can change things as well. So many things to consider. So hopefully this helped out a little bit. I know I didn't answer everybody's questions on exactly what to do, but there's just a lot of things to consider, and everybody's different in what they're looking for. So if you have questions, if you have comments, please leave them below. I'll try and help out more. If you have different articles or different videos you're looking for, I may have already created them, so I can link you to those if you're looking for different subjects. And hopefully, if you like the video, give us a thumbs up. If you want to see more of these, please subscribe. We also do our before and after videos, almost all our flips and rental properties as well. So that's it for now. Hope you guys enjoyed it, and we'll talk again soon.